Hello there, my name's Jade. I work at Teesside University in the Student Recruitment and Marketing team, and today I'm going to be having a look at our student funding and finance presentation for all of those students looking to apply and start uni in September 2020. So I'm just going to share my presentation screen with you. Lovely, you should be able to see that. So today we've got a bit of an agenda. We're going to look at tuition fees and tuition fee loans, how they work. We're going to look at money for living costs, so we're going to have an overview of maintenance loans, additional allowances and the different scholarships that are available. We'll spend a little bit of time on NHS funding, and then I've got some examples of student loan repayments, how that all works and how much you're going to be expected to pay when it comes to that time. So firstly, I'm going to have a chat about tuition fees and tuition fee loans. So tuition fees are the amount that universities can charge for you to study at university. They can charge up to £9,250 for each year of a full-time undergraduate degree course. The government have announced as well that that amount is frozen, so it's not likely to increase anytime soon. Don't know if you're aware, but a couple of years ago there was an increase in tuition fees, but now that is frozen, so you don't need to worry about that increasing. When it comes to tuition fees, obviously universities don't expect students to have £9,000 lying around in the corner of their room to pay up front. So part of your application that I'm going to go through within this presentation for your student finance is for a tuition fee loan. So your tuition fee loan covers that cost every year of up to £9,250 for you to attend university. The different rates are available on university websites, so it's always worth having a little look and just checking that you know how much you are paying for your course every year. I have examples of the application further on in the slides, but basically what will happen is once you've applied for your tuition fee loan and that's been approved, that money gets paid directly to your chosen university. So you don't get £9,000 dropping into your bank account that you have to worry about going and paying the university. That's made directly to the uni. So that's one less thing for you to have to worry about. It's really handy. Eligible students, like I say, can take a tuition fee loan every year as well. So each year at the beginning of your academic year, you'll be asked to resubmit your tuition fee application, your tuition fee loan application. It's not as in-depth. All you need to do, if your situation's the same and your circumstances haven't changed, you just go on and approve your application again and say that your situation's the same. If it has changed, you just send any updates to Student Finance England and they will update that for you. So that's the first half, your tuition fee loan covered. The second part of your application will be for your maintenance loan. Now, your maintenance loan supports, as the name suggests, all your living costs. So things like your rent, your food, your social activities, all of that type of thing. Your maintenance loan is partially means tested, and if you're not quite sure what that means, basically the amount that you have access to is based on your household income. So if you're looking to move away from home, on the screen right now you can see the maximum and minimum amounts that you will have access to as a student, and if you're planning to stay with your parents or guardians, you can see again the maximum and minimum. You will notice that the amount for staying with your parents is less than moving away from home, and that's because if you're planning to stay with your parent or guardian, it's likely that your outgoings won't be as high. You won't have to buy things like washing powder, and you should be supported a little bit more if you're living in your parental home. So that's why you have access to a little bit less. Like I say, the application is the same application that you're going to submit for your tuition fee loan. You'll also apply for your maintenance loan. I've got a little bit of an example. So how much you get as a student does depend on your household income. The government does suggest that all students should have access to around about £6,845. That's on average. And as you can see from my graph, we've got very simple, the amount you have access to up the left hand side, and then across the bottom we've got household incomes. The other thing I will explain before we go any further is the examples that I'm giving here are based on students living away from home, so that's slightly higher amount, but outside of London. So if you're a student that's looking to apply to London-based universities, you will have access to a little bit more maintenance loan, and that's just because it's a capital city and cost of living is a little bit higher, so that's worth looking if you are planning to apply to London-based universities. So for our first example, if you're a student that's coming from a household that's a £25,000 annual salary or less, you will have access to that maximum amount of maintenance loan, so that's £9,203. I do say have access to, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take that full amount. You can take less if you want, but that's the maximum amount that you can take. If you're from a household income where you're from a £42,875, you will have access to that average amount that the government set of maintenance loan, £6,845. And as we go up, as you can imagine, you get access to slightly less. So from a household of £55,000, you can access up to £5,246 of maintenance loan, with the addition of just short of £1,600. That is a government suggestion that from a higher earning household, parents should be able to financially contribute to their children. That is not set, it's not a law. Parents don't have to do that, but it is what the government suggests. Parents should be in a position to support their child financially. And then if you're at the highest end, the 65k or higher household income, you can access the minimum amount of maintenance loan, but still that's £4,289. And again, a parental contribution of £2,556. Your maintenance loan is paid out 3 times throughout the year, so you don't get one big amount at the beginning of the year. It is separated out into 3 terms as well. There is a variety of other pots of money that you might have access to as a student that's definitely worth looking at. So we have the Disabled Students Allowance, which helps any disabled student with the cost of non-medical help, any specialist equipment, travel and other course-related costs. So it might be you're unable to drive because of a disability. You might find that you get money contributed for public transport, dictaphones and things like that. You might require them to study. The difference between this and the tuition fee loan and the maintenance loan that I've previously discussed is that this is a non-repayable. So whereas those other 2 loans we will have to pay back at some point, this you won't. And it's also completely based on the student's individual needs, not based on your household income, just based on what you need to study. So this is always worth, if you are a disabled student, it's always worth looking at. On the screen, you can see our disability team email address, so you're very welcome to get in contact with them if you're looking to apply to Teesside or you have already applied to Teesside. You can chat to them and talk about what you would need setting up before you start studying. We also have some additional funding for NHS courses. So on the screen there, I have listed some of the NHS courses. We've got occupational therapy, physio, midwifery, ODP, all of the nursing courses, all identified as NHS courses. There are some long course loans related to those NHS courses, and you can see the amounts on the screen. You also have a £1,000 NHS child dependent allowance. So if you do have children that are dependent on you, that's worth having a look at. And there's also additional travel costs related to placements. So if you're being asked to travel to a placement that's a further distance than travelling to and from university, there are funds you can access for that as well. So the exciting news is that the NHS bursary has just been launched, and this is for all new and continuing students of NHS courses. That bursary is at least £5,000 for students, which is really good news. There's also the option of an additional £3,000 funding for childcare costs and for students who are applying to courses where they're struggling to recruit to that specialism in certain regions. So you need to do a little bit of research and find out if you fall into that category as well, because you may have access to that additional £3,000. This money is paid in addition to your tuition fee and maintenance loan, so it doesn't affect the amount that you get from your maintenance or tuition fee loan. It's on top of that. And with this being a bursary, it's non-repayable. So you're not having to worry about that being an addition to your maintenance and tuition fee loan that you have to pay back, even though in a minute I'm going to talk about how easy repayments are. Paramedic students do also have access to the bursary. It's just slightly different. So you might want to have a little research on the student finance page about that as well. Another way to get money for your living costs while you're a student is the scholarship schemes. So every different university in the country has different scholarship and bursary schemes. How you apply, what you get, and who qualifies is completely different at each university. So this is where it takes a little bit of research. What I'd normally say is when you filter down to your 5 universities that you're going to apply for, start looking at what they offer in terms of scholarships and bursaries and just see if you're eligible. It might depend on your academic achievement. So it might be if you get a set grade. It might be your household income, again, similarly to your maintenance loan. It might be your postcode, and what you get does differ as well. So you might get a bursary, you might get a chunk of money at the start of every term, you might get a fee waiver, but you also might get some equipment, some support, some mentoring. It does really vary, so it's worth doing a little bit of research. I do also mention here as well that another way that students do get money whilst they're studying, a lot of students do have a part-time job running alongside their study. I think the important thing to take from that is it's very common for students to have part-time jobs, and universities run schemes like student ambassador schemes where you're working for the university at events like open days. It's always worth making sure that the employer that you're going to work your part-time job at understands that you are a student, that is your priority. Only commit to evening and weekend work. Don't be taking shifts when you've got lectures. You do need to remember that you are studying at university for a degree, and that is your priority. So an example of a scholarship scheme is we have the Teesside University Advanced Scheme, and this basically is a really good example of not being given money but being given equipment. So we provide all of our full-time students enrolling on a year 0 or year 1 course of a full-time course with an Apple iPad. This is installed with loads of kit. Your student portals on there, your timetables on there, your library resources are on there. It really makes you accessible all the time whilst you're a student. You do get a keyboard. You also get £100 credit, which is another example of ways to be supported financially without being given actual cash in your pocket, because this £100 credit can be used to purchase textbooks, learning resources, which can be quite costly. It does build up, especially if you're quite a textbook based course, so that comes in really handy. The iPads are also set up with lecture capture technology, which is really good, so you don't have to worry about frantically making notes in lectures. You can go back and revisit your lectures and watch them over and over again to ensure you've got the content, so that's really handy. So when it comes to applying to student finance, what you'll do is you'll log in and you'll need to register an account at the gov.uk website. It is a government website, it's completely safe. What you'll have to do is register an account. You'll be given a customer reference number. The person who you are financially responsible to, so it might be a parent or guardian, it might be a partner if you're living with a partner, will also need to create an account, and they'll have to provide some information, and that's where your maintenance loan amount will be judged by the information that your parent, guardian, partner provides information. It's not the quickest application form. You will need to log in, do a couple of slides, save it and come out, but a good perk is that you can do that. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. It does take a little bit of time, but it's worth taking your time, making sure all the information in it's correct. You can start your application now. There will be a certain point that you get to where you'll stop, because you'll have to put in the course code and the university of your chosen course that you want to study. So if you haven't quite got to that point yet, you haven't made that decision, then you won't be able to get any further, but you can get quite far into your application before you need that. And then once you have made your choice, you can just pick it up again and start carrying on your application. So that's your application website. We will move on to loan repayments now, because I know this is it's one of the largest reasons students worry about coming to universities, the cost that's associated with it. And I really want to just make you feel a little bit better about that. And I think once you've got the information, you'll see what a manageable repayment scheme it is. So your student loan repayments are very different to any sort of commercial credit repayment that you'll have. How much you pay back depends entirely on your income and how much you're earning. You don't actually pay anything back either until you've left education, so you won't be expected to start paying anything back before you graduate. And at that point, you also need to have an income over £25,725 a year. So up till that point, if you're earning £24,000 for the rest of your life, you won't actually make any repayments. Once you do hit that threshold, you actually then only pay per percentage of anything over that amount. I do have some examples. I'll go through that in a little bit more detail in the next couple of slides. The payments are really affordable, and what you need to remember is that the more you borrow doesn't mean that you're going to be paying back more. It's all based on what you're earning. Any debt that you do gain it's written off after 30 years as well. So if you've not paid your student loan back within 30 years, graduating, it's completely written off. It doesn't go on credit files, so it doesn't affect your ability to secure a mortgage or loans, things like that. And debt collectors certainly won't be chasing for it. And a really good thing is it's repaid through the income tax system, so you don't have to worry about logging in at the end of every month and paying some off. It comes straight out of your payslip. And I do have an example of a potential payslip as well coming up. I will mention that there is some interest rate. There is interest linked to your student loan, and that is your interest rates linked to inflation plus up to 3%. So it's not completely interest free, but just to make you aware of that. So I've got a few examples here of some repayments and what that might look like. So this first person, they're earning less than £25,725, which quite simply means they're paying nothing back. Nice and simple. The second example I have is of somebody who's earning £30,000 a year. So as I mentioned previously, you only pay a percentage of anything over the £25,000 mark. You actually only ever pay 9% of anything over £25,725. So as you can see here, this person, this example, is on a £30,000 a year salary. So they're only going to be paying back 9% of the £4,275. That's the difference between the £25,725 and the £30,000. Hope that makes sense. So 9% of that amount is the payment for the full year. So 9% of 4,275 is £384.75. Shared across the year, you're looking at monthly repayments of little over £32, and broken down into weekly repayments, you're looking at £7.40. So that really shows how manageable that payment is. This is my example payslip here as well. So say that student's now had a promotion and they're earning £35,000 a year, which is a pretty good wage for a graduate. Their monthly gross income will be just short of £3,000, £2,917. And then you've got all of the bits and pieces you do have to pay out of your payslip. So hopefully be paying into a pension, you'll pay tax, and you'll pay national insurance. So your net income after those essentials have been paid is £2,092. For a person on a £35,000 a year salary, your monthly repayment would be £70. So you take that away, your income would be just over £2,000, which I think is a really manageable amount. It puts it in perspective of how much you'll be paying back. So just to summarise the last couple of slides, what I want you to take away from this today is that you absolutely don't have to pay anything until you have left education, and at that point it is only when you're earning. So everybody can afford to study. We wouldn't want anyone to say they won't be going to university or entering into higher education because they can't afford it. All full-time eligible students can apply for a maintenance loan as well, and that can help you with the living costs, your rent, your food shop, all of those types of things. And repayments are based on what you earn, not on what you owe. So it's not going to be a case where you've graduated and then all of a sudden you have this massive amount to pay back that's not manageable. So I've linked here a few useful websites for you. So the government services website, so it's gov.uk/student finance. That is the website where you'll submit your student finance application. It's also got lots of really useful information and videos, so it's worth watching. They've got FAQs. There's also the student finance calculator on that page. So the student finance calculator is a really quick, easy way for you to get an idea of how much money you may be looking at getting from the student finance company. You have to put in minimal information. It's by no means the size of the real application. You put in some basic information and it'll give you an idea. Won't be to the penny, but it will give you an idea of what sort of amount you'll be looking at. I've also put the money saving expert on there as well. So Martin Lewis writes a lot about student finance, why it's beneficial to take out student finance over other credit. So that's definitely worth reading just from an unbiased point of view. If you are a year 13 or a second year student and you have applied to Teesside University and you are wanting to ask some questions about your application or the admissions process, please do get in touch with us. I'm going to show you where the admissions email addresses live in a moment, but please do get in touch if you have any queries. If you haven't applied and you're thinking of applying, you can drop us an email at enquiries@tees.ac.uk. That'll be picked up by the recruitment team and we can answer any queries you might have about Teesside University, about accommodation, about finance, personal statements, whatever your query is, we are here to help you as best we can. And then the other service that we're offering is the online chat. So hopefully I will share this screen with you. Won't be a moment. Hi, it's me again. Just going to share our website with you. Fab, hopefully you can see that now. So this is tees.ac.uk. This is our university website, and this has everything on that you might need. For those students that are looking, if you are a current student, you can find all of our courses here under the undergraduate study tab. I'm just going to give you an example of where our admissions emails live. So depending on what course you study in, if you find the course page, I'm using midwifery as an example here. So this is the course page. It has all the information on course details, entry requirements, a nice course overview. But if you scroll down, keep going, there is the email address of the academic school that looks after your course. And so this is the same setup for every course on the website. So if you have applied and you have a question about your application, please do drop the admissions team an email. Another option is speaking to us on our online chat function. So down here in the bottom right hand corner, we have our online chat service, and that's manned by our recruitment team Monday to Friday, 9:30 in the morning until 4:30 at night. So if you have any queries, you can jump on here and ask us a question. So let's ask about midwifery again, seeing as we're on that subject. Click UK, and you can start a chat, and one of our recruitment team will pick you up. And like I say, it will be really helpful. We are working remotely at the moment, so if we're not able to find the answer to your question out, we'll certainly be able to put you in contact with somebody who can help you. So you can jump onto our online chat and we'll be able to help you there. So I'm just going to pull you back. So hopefully you can see me again. I do hope that was really helpful for you. Like I say, if you do have any questions, please do feel free to get in touch with us. All of our admissions and recruitment teams are working, and we'll be here to pick up any queries you do have. I hope that was helpful. It's been lovely to speak to you. Thank you.